Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the incredible story of Zohran Mamdani, the 33-year-old Democratic Socialist who's shaking up New York City politics as the presumptive Democratic nominee for mayor. But who is Zohran Mamdani? From his childhood shaped by his famous filmmaker mother, Mira Nair, to his lesser-known personal life, including his recent marriage to a talented Syrian artist, we're unpacking how his roots and relationships fueled his historic campaign. Let's stitch together the clips and uncover the full story of Zohran Mamdani's rise.
Meet Zohran Mamdani, the 33-year-old shaking up New York City politics with a heady mix of progressive policies, personal conviction, and a surprising touch of Bollywood. Zohran Mamdani isn't your typical mayoral hopeful. He's a Democratic Socialist, a practicing Muslim, and if elected he could become New York City's first South Asian mayor. But beyond the labels, what defines him is his clear, unapologetic vision. A city where rent doesn't strangle you, where food and transport are affordable, and where the government actually works for the people, not just the wealthy few.
Zohran Mamdani's vision is bold, but it's his unique background that makes his story so compelling. Born in Uganda and raised across continents, his parents' influence is key to understanding his drive. Let's dive into his childhood and the role his mother, Mira Nair, played in shaping his worldview.
Born on October 18, 1991 in Kampala, Uganda, Zohran Mamdani comes from a family steeped in both intellect and artistry. His mother is Mira Nair, the globally acclaimed Indian-American filmmaker behind Monsoon Wedding and Salaam Bombay. His father, Mahmood Mamdani, is a renowned academic and currently a professor at Columbia University. His middle name, Kwame, was chosen to honor Kwame Nkrumah, the anti-colonial leader of Ghana. That spirit of liberation seems to have stayed with him. He spent his early childhood in South Africa, attending St. George's Grammar School in Cape Town, before moving to New York at age 7. He went to the Bank Street School of Children, later the Bronx High School of Science, and eventually graduated from Bowdoin College with a degree in Africana Studies.
Mira Nair, the director of iconic films like Monsoon Wedding, didn't just give Zohran a creative edge, she instilled in him a deep sense of cultural identity and social justice. His father's academic work on global politics and colonialism further shaped his lens on inequality. But how did this upbringing translate into his political fire? Let's hear from Bernie Sanders, who saw Zohran's campaign as a game changer.
Enthusiastic. It was one of the great political victories in modern history. Zohran ran a brilliant campaign, and I think the most significant part of his campaign, and I, Chris, would not compare it to Obama or to Clinton. What Zohran understood is that in order to win, you got to be more than charismatic, and he is. You got to be more than smart, which he is. You got to build a strong grassroots movement around a progressive agenda. He had thousands and thousands of people knocking on doors because they were excited about his message. And his message said, you know what? In a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, we are going to ask the richest people in New York City to stop paying their fair share of taxes. So among other things, we can address the major crisis facing New York and America, by the way, is soaring housing costs. You're going to freeze rent at a time when families can't afford decent quality food. He's talking about helping to create publicly funded grocery stores so that kids can get food that's affordable, making buses free. He's giving people a positive agenda, not just going after Trump, but giving something that people can believe in, an analysis which reflects their reality.
Bernie Sanders nails it. Zohran's campaign wasn't just about charisma. It was about connecting with people's struggles. Growing up in a household where art and activism collided, Zohran learned early on how to tell stories that resonate. His mother's cinematic flair showed up in his campaign, like that viral Hindi language video challenging Andrew Cuomo. But it's not just his parents. His personal life, including his recent marriage, adds another layer to his story.
Mamdani is a Shia Muslim. He's recently married to Rama Dojji, a Syrian artist based in Brooklyn whose illustrations have featured in The New Yorker and The Washington Post. His faith, identity, and family, far from being political baggage, are central to the story he's telling New Yorkers, that leadership can look different.
Zohran's marriage to Rama Dojji, a talented artist, reflects his commitment to a diverse, inclusive New York. Their partnership, though private, mirrors the cultural richness he brings to politics. But his campaign wasn't without challenges, especially the vicious attacks he faced. Let's explore how his faith and identity became both a target and a source of strength.
You know, the thing that was very clear in the weeks before and the days after the primary was this barrage of racist, anti-Muslim attacks on you, equating you to a terrorist, saying you're a danger to the safety of Americans, especially Jewish Americans. And I'm going to repeat some of the attacks, not because I think they're okay to say, but I want listeners to understand what's being said. And it's not just from the right wing and Republicans in office. It's also from other influential figures. Deborah Messing of Will and Grace posted online that you sided with terrorists and you celebrated 9/11. You were 9 when that happened. Republican Representative Nancy Mace posted a picture of you in your Eid outfit and wrote, "After 9/11, we said never forget. I think we sadly have forgotten." Republican Representative Andy Ogle called you Little Muhammad and said you need to be deported and is calling for your denaturalization. Were you prepared for this level of bigotry?
It's unsurprising, and yet it's still deeply saddening. And it's unsurprising because, as many Muslims in this country know, to exist in public life is to have to deal with this kind of slander.
These attacks were not just political. They were personal, targeting Zohran's Muslim identity and even his childhood. At 9 years old during September 11th, he was a kid in New York, yet faced baseless accusations. His response? He kept campaigning, focusing on affordability and unity. Let's hear how his faith guides him through this hate.
You know, my grandparents, Yusuf and Kulsum, were the ones that taught me about Islam at a young age. And one of the lessons that I always held with me was an understanding that to be a good Muslim, you had to be a good person. Mm-hmm. You had to help those in need and harm no one. And my favorite month of the year is Ramadan. And it's a month that I've loved because as I grew up, it was one where I started to learn what it meant to be in solidarity with people that you never even met. You know, when we were having iftar or we were, Eid, you would not ask who someone was before you passed them a plate of food. You would not ask who someone was before you helped them. It was a month where you saw yourself in others, no matter if you knew their name or not. And so much of that has been at the foundation of my politics, this belief that solidarity has to be at the core of what we do, and that it's not just something that is an ideal, but it's something that has to be practiced.
Zohran's faith, rooted in his grandparents' teachings, fuels his politics of solidarity. This perspective, combined with his parents' influence, Mira Nair's storytelling, and Mahmood Mamdani's intellectual rigor, helped him build a campaign that galvanized young voters and shook the establishment. But why did he win against all odds?
The paper of record in New York City, the editorial board of that paper, actually asked voters not to rank you at all, and yet you won. How did you do that? And why did voters choose you?
You know, from the beginning, we wanted to break out of the bubble of New York City politics and into the world of New York City itself. You know, this is a city that I moved to when I was 7 years old. It's where I've grown up. It's where I got my citizenship, where I got married. It's a city that I love. And I've been frustrated over many years to see how separate often our politics is from our place. And we sought especially to increase turnout amongst New Yorkers who hadn't been participating and to register new voters. And we said that we would do this by espousing a politics of no translation, by speaking directly to the crisis that working people were facing in this city, which is ultimately a crisis of affordability.
Zohran Mamdani's win wasn't just a political upset, it was a movement. From his childhood in Uganda and South Africa to his New York roots, shaped by Mira Nair's cinematic vision and his father's academic legacy, Zohran crafted a campaign that spoke to real people. His marriage to Rama Dojji reflects his commitment to a diverse city and his unwavering focus on affordability. Free buses, rent freezes, universal childcare resonated with voters tired of the status quo. Despite hateful attacks, he's redefining what leadership looks like. And there you have it, the story of Zohran Mamdani, from his parents' profound influence to his bold vision for New York City. As he heads into the general election, facing challenges from billionaires and political heavyweights, his journey is far from over. What do you think about Zohran's rise? Can he transform NYC? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping our world. Until next time, keep dreaming big.